We're starting the Church Girl podcast. Welcome. Today we are talking about green flags in a man, in a relationship, in Christian dating. You can look at the last episode I did about this. It's called Red Flags. And so we kind of got a do's and don'ts going on here. I encourage you to check out that other one. But before we get started and I give you the green flags, Tori's going to ask a couple rapid fire questions about dating relationships. So take it away, Tori.
In your opinion, what is the best first date?
In my opinion, the best first date? Okay, that's a good question. I think that a good first date... Okay, well, I guess it depends. Like, do you already know each other, or is it totally like, I've never met you before? And okay, I'll give them. You're already friends. I'll give them. Yeah, that's the better case. So a best first date, I think, with someone you already know, is starts in the daytime. I think because you kind of already know each other, you already have some kind of relationship there. The nighttime date is like so romantic, so fast. And it's kind of like, which is cute because it's kind of, you're nervous, that's fine. But I think it's really nice when it starts with like, well, we'll go down to Central Park and we'll get a coffee. And of course, I mean, we live in New York City. Sorry if you're watching from somewhere else and you're like, our local park is where people get murdered. People get murdered there too, at Central Park. But anyways, you're going to go there during the day where there are less murders, and you're going to grab a coffee. You're going to walk through, the park together. You're going to talk. You're going to laugh. And then you're going to go to dinner. And so it's not, you're wearing the daytime outfit, so it can't be that fancy, right? I think like the second, third date is like we show up to dinner. He comes to the house when he picks you up with flowers. Like, that's a little bit better. So that's what I would say is a good first date. Is that what you and Avery did?
No. Well, it's hard because
You were really friends.
Our first date wasn't technically our first date.
Right.
Our first date was like an all day.
Yeah.
Like in the morning.
An all day thing.
And then we went to the movies and then we walked around the park.
I love it. Yeah. It's kind of the same thing I just said. Perfect. Okay. Next question.
How do you navigate jealousy in a relationship?
It's great. Great question. I think jealousy in a relationship has to be dealt with quickly. I think there are certain stages of a relationship where it's more appropriate. Why can't I say that word? More apropos. It's better. So like, of course, if you're college student aged, it's kind of more likely, but there are certain people, high schoolers, right? But there are certain people who really carry on that jealousy thing, and they're full-grown adults with full-time jobs and big responsibilities. And I think there is a little bit of a learning curve that everyone has of like going from, why does he talk to her? Or who is she to him? Or all of that. But there's a moment where it's like, oh, like there's a trust built. And so I'm not jealous because I trust and I'm secure in the relationship. I will say that marriage provides a level of trust that isn't there before. Jealousy is like so much easier to fall into when you're like, have I won the game yet? Am I in? Are we in the end zone? And then once you're married, you're like, oh, like I'm a whole married woman, like I don't have to worry about any of that anymore. And hopefully that's true, right? Hopefully you don't have to. Hopefully jealousy doesn't arise. But I would say that you want to be really quick. Like if you have a moment of jealousy in a relationship, you want to be really quick to vocalize it and say, hey, I kind of felt this way. I think it's just me, but I want you to know about it in case there's something you want to talk about with it. So then you're kind of putting it out there because you're still figuring out if you're for each other. But then when it comes to marriage, I think there's knowing when you need to go, get over it. Like, what are you thinking? Yeah. Like that's all you. He's he's being polite, he's being kind. Like you don't have to feel threatened, you know? And so hopefully that helps a little.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, last one.
How would you...
Don't ask about sex.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
How would you deal, I guess this is for like marriage, how would you deal with maybe feeling like your significant other's family doesn't like you?
Oh,
Or even when
yeah.
you're dating? How would
Yeah, totally. So how do you deal with when your significant other's family, you feel like they don't like you or you're having a difficult time getting along? I would say that it takes time. And again, like we're talking like probably more seriously dating if you're meeting family and you have relationship with family. I do think that that actually should be reserved for a little more serious dating, by the way. I think it's important for families to meet your significant other, but at the same time, like inviting them into every family dinner and every holiday too soon gets your family invested in someone in a way that you're not actually invested in yet. So you want to wait until they're at the right stage to say, hey, like this is kind of important. I want him to be around for like this family moment. By the way, they never go in the Christmas photo. Okay, just so you know, they never go until they're married. Okay, so I just think that's a rule of thumb. But if you're having a hard time and you're kind of struggling, I would just say talk with your significant other about it, because if it's his family, it's his responsibility. He should be leading the way. And like, in my opinion, like never disagree with your in-laws. It's just my rule of thumb. Like, and I'm so blessed with my in-laws that I love them and have great relationship with them. But even if I thought differently, unless they ask for my input, I don't really give it, because I understand that, you know, I've been married into the family and I just want to listen to them and get to know them, and I don't need to be heard. And I think that kind of honor of elders in your life, I think that's an area where people fall into, like, you're not the kid anymore. Like you are the kid, but you need to act like an adult and you need to honor the people above you who've gone before you, who raised your significant other, your spouse, your husband. So yeah, maybe that's helpful. Maybe it's not. I think it takes time. Yeah. It takes a lot of time. And you can be married and still feel like you're trying to, convince them to like you, trying to impress them. And that's okay. So great questions, Tori. You're the best. Okay, green flag number 1. I think this is really important. He has a home church. He has a spiritual authority in his life where he is committed in some way. Why is this important? Okay, I have people who've been in my life, been a part of our community, and everyone is on a journey. That's kind of why I have 3 different green flag-ish things here, because not everyone is in a place where they have a home church. Maybe he just moved. Maybe he has been attending somewhere online. I don't discredit that or discount that. But people can be in transition. People can be in a home church and attend weekly and have no one in their life who keeps them accountable. So that's why I talk about spiritual authority. And then I think a commitment in some way is important. It doesn't mean that he's a part of every small group and every prayer night, or he's on the team. But it means he's participating in some way. Maybe he gives. Maybe that's the way that he feels like he serves and honors God. He doesn't need to be at every event. Maybe, I don't know. I just think sometimes that's more likely with a man. And so I think it's always a good sign. If he is in the mix in a church community or looking for a church, if you're not the one convincing him to go to church with you, then I think it's a good green flag. And if he's leading the way in that, saying, hey, what did God speak to you? And everybody is on the journey. But you want someone who has their own relationship with Jesus. They're growing their relationship with Jesus. Of course, you're with them, you're helping them, you're walking alongside them, but they have a commitment that's bigger than their commitment to you. And I think that's really important. So he may have a home church. He may have someone in his life who speaks into him. I really think that's important. Like, does he have someone who keeps him accountable? These days, and I kind of always feel shocked that other women are shocked that men have porn addictions and they don't know anything about it. And that's a good kind of conversation starter for you to point him to an accountability. You are not his accountability partner. You shouldn't be his accountability partner. He should have another man in his life that says, hey, how's that going? How are you doing? Are you staying committed? Like all of those different things. That's why spiritual authority matters. That's why people in your life who ask you hard questions matters. And maybe, church girl, you're watching this and you're going, wait a second, I don't even have that green flag. Get it. Like, go to church, ask someone to be your spiritual authority. Get started in that way. Be committed in that way. The second green flag is this. I'm just going to kind of go quick here today, is that he has good references. Good references. No, you're not getting a resume. Some of you would love that. You would love for men to just apply to like date you and you would have like all of their degrees on there. Honestly, maybe we should come up with that. That's actually a really good idea. I'm sure they have that on dating apps, but he has good references. So here's the question. What do other people say about him? The people that you meet in his life, the people who've already met him, and no, you can't just listen to one voice because we all have that friend who is very protective and isn't going to like anybody like forever until they finally do. So of course that's not your person, but they keep a job. Their coworkers say nice things about them. They think they're reliable, dependable. Good references means, yeah, he doesn't get fired every 6 months. That would be a big thing. Or he's not always uprooting himself to go somewhere else. I would definitely be a little bit, it'd be like a yellow flag if he like hops around with jobs or hops around with churches. I'd be like, hey, I don't know about that. I don't know if that is a good person for you to date if you're a church girl. So what do others say about him? But here's another one, and I think it's huge, and it should be well considered in this day and age. What does his social media say about him? Because whether we like it or not, it is people's storefront into who they are. And so if that's who they want the world to perceive them as, and it doesn't line up with the person that you're meeting, the person that you're spending time with, then that's a problem. Maybe there's a perception problem. Maybe they still have some ties to their past or ties to an old way of living. I had a conversation with a friend once whose significant other, their social media presence was just not great. It wasn't awesome. It wasn't like so bad or so evil or anything, but it didn't represent the guy that I thought that she would want to be with. And so that was a conversation I had, with someone I love, someone I care about. I hope, church girl, that you have friends in your life who will have that conversation with you. If there's a guy and like all of the girls that he follows are like in bikinis, red flag. A green flag is an authentic, secure man who doesn't try to put on some persona online. That is like the ick, if you ask me. If you're wondering what the ick is, that's it. So like if he always just has like, he's like posting up and it's like a scripture verse and it's like a thirst trap with a scripture verse, like big red flag. Okay. So green flag is like he helps dogs. Green flag is he went to his church and he posted about it. Okay, you get it. Last green flag that I'm going to share today is this, that he likes and or loves, I don't know where you are in your relationship, but he likes you enough, loves you enough to lead you. Loves you enough to lead you. This is probably my biggest green flag because more women than they even realize want to be led and find themselves with someone who they have to lead. And I think that you can kind of, because of our culture and feminism and all of those different things. We've kind of been ingrained in culture to think that we're the ones who lead everything. And I really don't like that culture of like men are dumb and they need so much help and I'm going to tell them what to do and I'm going to lead the family. I just don't like it. I'm so grateful that that's not my experience. I'm grateful to have a husband who leads me. And honestly, the longer I've been married, the more open-handed I've been with him leading. I think at first, there was some part of me, and actually scripture talks about it even in the curse in the garden, where God says to the woman, you're going to want to rule over him, right? And we do. That's in our sin nature to try to rule over our husbands. And so anytime I think you're trying to do that, you need to go, wait a second, is that a root of sin in my life, a root of sin in my heart? Of course, we lead alongside one another. Of course, like there's never, ever been a conversation where my husband has had to, like I have the final say. Like he's not that person. He would never do that to me because he really lives sacrificially in our marriage in that way. And he really considers me in everything and every decision that we have. So of course there's, some nuance to all of it, but you want a man to lead you. You want him to lead you to church. You want him to lead you to Jesus. You want him to lead you to seeking God more. You want him to lead your family. You want him to lead the way in fighting. I think that's actually a big one. I know couples who like that's an area where the husband doesn't lead. And so the wife just goes nuts, all the time. And it's like, whoa, guys, this is so dysfunctional, like you gotta be the man of your home and say, we don't talk to each other that way. We don't say those words. We don't call each other names. And I personally think that, of course, in a non-controlling way, a man can do that. And it's up to you. I'm not talking to the husband today or the boyfriend today or the guy you're dating today. Who am I talking to? I'm talking to you. So as I talk to you, church girl, I want to tell you to stop fighting dirty. Stop fighting, pulling out all of the past and all of the things. And sometimes we can be crazy, and let the man in your life lead you. Let him give you a new formula for how you have conversations and how you communicate about hard things. And so a green flag is that he loves you enough to lead you. And I promise you, if you find a man who loves you enough to lead you, you will live a fulfilling marriage. You'll live in a great relationship. It's hard work, but it's the right work. It's good work. And those are my green flags. So I hope it helps you as you're on the journey, thinking of where you are and where you want to be. I want that for you. I want good relationships for you. I want a godly husband for you. Guess what? He's not lost. He's somewhere. God's still developing him, just like he's still developing you. So do the hard work now of being that green flag church girl yourself, being who you really say you are, who you really want to be, being committed to the local church, having spiritual authority, serving in some way, have good references yourself, people who will back your character, have a social media that represents who you want to attract, the kind of men you want to attract, and then allow yourself to let Jesus lead you in this season. If you can submit to Jesus, you can trust his will to bring the right man into your life that you can trust to submit yourself to in marriage. And so I'm throwing around a lot of words that make a lot of people uncomfortable, but we talk about the uncomfortable things at the Church Girl podcast. And I can't wait to hear stories of how this helps you and how God brings the right man into your life. I love you, and I'll see you next time, Church Girl.